All right, hi everybody. Thanks for coming to class today. We are just going to get started in a minute. First thing that you need to do is just open up a new window in Code Naturally. You need to start a new project in advanced mode. And today we're going to do a design challenge. So we're going to be working on I'm going to do a restaurant, but you could do any building you wanted. But I'm going to do a restaurant design challenge kind of situation. Class is going to be a little bit shorter today. We're just going to do 30 minutes of class. And then after that, at the very end, I'll give you guys a few elements to add into your project that I want you to try to work on independently. You don't have to do them right after class. And it's the same situation. If you need help, you can always reach out to us on codenaturally.com, or you can send in your project at the link that's in the description, which is the same way you would share a project that you just want shown in class or something like that. And then I'm hoping that next week we'll add on about 15 minutes to class just to share the projects that everyone's been working on. I haven't been getting a ton of people sharing their projects, so I don't know if you guys just don't want to, or if you just would rather see other people's projects and you don't want your own spotlighted. But whatever it is, we can share the projects at the beginning of next class if we get enough submissions. So hopefully you guys do that at the end. And I'll give you a few challenges, a few extra things to add in. So I am going to get started by putting in a background, and then we're going to talk about putting in details today. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how to add in some more details to shapes, how we can add some details to outlines, and then how we can take text and change it so that it fits exactly where we want it to be and it looks the way that we want it to be. Sound good? Let us know, as always, if you have any questions in the chat, and either myself or Yuval will be able to answer your questions. And if you need help after class, you can always reach out to us on codenaturally.com. Okay, so hopefully everyone is ready to go. So like I said, I'm going to be just designing my own building, and I'm going to stop you guys along the way and just say, hey, this is a really important lesson for us to talk about. So if you guys could just all eyes on me at moments like that, that would be great. And other than that, if you want to code along with me and do the same project as me, you absolutely can, as always. But I would really recommend that you add in a little bit of special flair to your project. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to just start with a background color, and I'm going to put a ground in. And the way that I'm going to put a ground into my project is by doing rect, and I can't decide, maybe I'll just have it be gray. So I'm actually going to do a fill command first, and then I'm also going to put in no capital S-T-R-O-K-E stroke, so no stroke. And no stroke, I've talked to you guys about it before, but it just gets rid of the outlines on the shape that you're dealing with. So I can show you guys what it looks like with and without it. And like I said, you can make any building you want. It does not have to be a restaurant. It could be like a famous landmark. It could be your house. We have done a house project before, so I didn't think that would be as fun for you guys. But if you maybe missed that week, or you just feel like making a house, you can do that. You could do like a big mansion. You could do like a fancy hotel. You could do just a cool skyscraper. Can't talk today. So it's really up to you. So I'm going to make a rectangle that goes from 0, to 50. So that's a point on the very far left side towards the bottom. And I'm going to have it stretch out all the way across my screen. All right. So that's not really the color I was looking for. I think that looks a little bit better. Okay, so we have no stroke in, which gets rid of the outlines, but if I were to comment it out so the computer doesn't read it, it just has a black line on it. It really doesn't matter if you don't care about the way that the outlines look, you could always leave that. It doesn't make that big of a difference, but I just like to take them out. Another thing that you can do is you can change the color of your stroke, and you can also change the stroke weight. So this is a really important lesson for today, so really pay attention to this part. So if I wanted to change the thickness of that line, I could say stroke WEIGHT, stroke weight with a capital W, and then in the parentheses I just put a number of how wide I want it to be. So for example, I just did 10 for that. If I were to do 50, that's the same size as one box. That's because I'm telling this in the same amount of units that our height and our width are calculated in. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, I can explain it another way. So we're basically telling the stroke at this point to be 10 units wide or tall wherever it is. So when you have it at stroke weight 10, it's a lot more thick. You can see it really well. So that's a really useful thing if you want to have a really pronounced outline on a shape, like for a window or something like that. If you don't want to use lines and you want to do a shape that just has really thick outlines, this is great, really useful. And you can also change the stroke color. And you do that by just typing in stroke. And this is the same way that we used to color in points when we were using points. So you say stroke, and then you just put in the color that you want the line to be. So this is how you can change the color and the thickness of a line. So I'm going to just comment those out, and I'll say what they are right above. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to put back in no stroke. And then I'm going to use those two commands later on again so that we can just go over them again. I'll probably use them to make a window. And I'm actually looking at this, and I think that I want this to move down a little bit. I don't want the ground to be as big because I want to have enough space for a pretty big building. All right. So now I am going to make the body, I guess you could call it, the main structure of my restaurant. So I'm going to fill it in, I'm going to fill it in black for right now. I might not keep it that color, but I'm just going to fill it in black. Then I'm going to make a rectangle to start with. And I'm going to have it go from 150, 100. And I want it to be 300 wide and let's make it 200 tall and just see what it looks like. All right, so that is what my base of my restaurant looks like. I'm pretty happy with that. I like the way it looks. I think that it's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to choose a different color for it. Maybe I'll make it a fun color, like a dark blue. Let's see. And let me know in the comments what kind of building you guys are making. Naomi said she's making a house, which is awesome. But let me know if you guys have any other ideas for the project that you're making, or if you want me to add any certain features onto my project. All right, and then I'm gonna make just like a little flat roof for it. I'm not gonna do a triangle roof like a normal house because I want it to look like a restaurant. So I'm gonna use a slightly lighter blue for that. Oops. And I'm just gonna do another rectangle. And I've talked to you guys about this before, but a really useful tool is I could say, okay, I want the top left corner of my rectangle to be right here. And if I look down in the lower right-hand corner, it tells me my mouse's X and Y location. So I can use that as the X and the Y for the rectangle. So right now it says 129, 80. So I'm just gonna round that, say 130, 80. And then I'm gonna make that 340 wide just to start, and I'll make it like 50 tall. All right, so I think that looks kind of cool. It kind of looks like a container with a lid on it almost, but I think that with a few changes, it'll really look like a building. And I'm actually going to change it so that it is 40 instead of 50. And I actually think I want to change my background color. I think it's a little bit too blue. So I'm going to go change my background color. One of my favorite things about drawing pictures like this is that you can go and change things super easily. So if you want to change a color, you can just go in and paste in a new color. If you want to change a shape, you just have to change a number, making it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. So it's really easy to modify a project that you're already working on. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fill command for white, which is just 255. And I'm going to make a little sign. So I'm going to put it like right here. And I'm going to put the name of my restaurant inside of that sign. Give me ideas for what you think I should name my restaurant, because I really don't know what I want to name it. So I'll let you guys name it. So I'm going to start it at 200, comma, probably like 140. And then I'm going to make it 200 wide and maybe like 50 tall. I'm actually going to move that up a little bit so it's at 130 instead. All right, and then I'm going to add a 5th number onto the end of my rectangle, and that's going to curve the edges of my rectangle. So you'll see the bigger number I put in, the more curved it is. So I just put in 20 and it's pretty curved. So if I put in 10, it would make it slightly less curved, but it would still have the curved edges on it, which I think is really cool. Okay, let's see. Naomi gave me a name for my restaurant, Gorgonzola's. Okay, that's what I'm going to name my restaurant. So we're going to talk about text really quick because we're getting into the point where I need to put a text command into my project. And so this is something that a lot of people aren't super familiar with, so pay attention right now. This is going to help you out a ton. And let's just hop into it. So the fill command that you last coded for will be the color of your text. So the last color that I did a fill command for is white. And I'm putting this on a white sign. So I'm going to have to put in a new fill command that is not white, or else I wouldn't be able to see my text. So I'm going to just put black for now. Might change it, might not. Then when you put in the text command, you want to put whatever you want it to say inside of quotation marks right after you say text. So you're going to put text, parentheses, and then in the quotation marks you'll put whatever you want it to say. In this case, I'm going to use the name that Naomi sent me. I think I spelled it right. And then when you put the X and Y coordinate right after this, it's going to be for the far left point of your text. So I'll just start using that, and then I'll show you a way that we can change it. Okay, so there it is. It's all the way over there. So a few things that I noticed: it's not centered. It's an okay font, but I think it could be a better font. And I think that I could make it bigger so it's more readable. So one really cool tool that you can use is text alignment. So it's just like if you're in Google Docs or if you're writing a Word document, you know how you can have your text be aligned to the right side, to the left side, or to the center? It's the exact same thing with coding. It's always automatically to the left in this case. So what I can do is I can do text, capital A, align, and then in parentheses I can put center, all capital. It's the same as if we did rect mode center, or I think that's the only other one that we've used in this class so far. So it's text with a capital A, align, and then in the parentheses, all capitals, center. So now wherever I put that X and Y, that's going to be the center of my text. So right now I put it at 200, 150, so I look 200, and then 150, and that is in fact the center of my text. So I'm going to want to change that to the actual center of the sign, which is 300, and then I might move it down just a little bit to like 180. So let's try that out. And that's too low. 170, 160. There we go. Okay, and this is going to change as I make the text bigger, which is the next thing I'm going to want to do. It's also important that you put all of this above your text function. So I have text align and then in parentheses, center, all caps. Next thing I'm going to do is text, capital F-O-N-T, font. Again, we're going to use quotation marks to say the name of the font. So there's a few. You can Google web-based fonts. Not all of them will work on every type of computer in the Code Naturally app. That's just the way that it is. But there are a lot of cool ones that we can use. My personal favorite is Impact. I just think it's it's kind of hard to see because it's so small right now. But it's just more rounded edges, but with really like distinct thick lines. So I think it's pretty cool. Other ones that we can use are Verdana, and it looks like that. You can use Courier. So they're all just slightly different. So let me know in the comments if you guys have a favorite text that I went through. The first one was Impact, second one was Verdana, third one is Courier. I'll try out one more called Book Antiqua. Yeah, so that's what Book Antiqua looks like. So let me know what your favorite is and I'll use it for my project. I'm gonna wait for you guys to pitch in about that because I know that I'm a little bit delayed from where you guys are. So the next thing that we're going to do, I'll change the text font whenever someone tells me what font they want. And the last thing we're going to do is text, capital S-I-Z-E, text size. And for this one, the bigger the number, the bigger the text. So that's size 20. Size 40 will probably be too big, yeah. So I'll do 30. Yeah, I think 30 looks good. I'm gonna try out a few different fonts because the fonts will look slightly different with the size. So you can see this one, I could almost make it a little bit bigger and move it down a little bit. The last font that I had in there, I couldn't really do that with. So your font will also determine your text size and your X and Y coordinate for your text. It's just the way that it is, but it's easy to work with. So I would recommend doing these in this order. So do your text alignment first, do your text font, then your text size, then figure out the X and the Y coordinates for your text. I just think that'll be easier that way. So I'm gonna end up moving this down just a little bit, I think like 5 units. Yeah, and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, maybe like 5 bigger. There we go. Okay, so there we go. That is my sign for my restaurant. Oops. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oops. There we go. Okay. So, how did this go out for a second? Okay, so I think we're all good now. Sorry about that. So the next thing that I am going to do, I'm going to add in a door to my restaurant so people actually have a way to get in and out. I'm going to do a rectangle, and remember that our fill command is going to be picked up from whatever the last fill was that we used, which in this case was black. I'm going to use like a darker gray color, I think, for my door. Haven't really decided yet. Yeah, so sometimes with the font, depending on the type of computer that you use, not every web-based font will work, so you might have to try a few to get it to work. You can also, if you let us know what type of computer you're on in the chat, we can let you know a few that do work. Hopefully if we've used it before. I think I've used every type of computer. But also check your spelling, check that everything is capitalized, it's in quotation marks if it's supposed to be. Double check that first, and then we'll deal with the next part. All right, so I'm gonna add in my door. So I'm gonna do fill. I'm gonna do like a darker gray, like maybe like 60. And I'm gonna do a rectangle. I'm gonna go right from the middle here. So right in between 250 and 300 would be 275. And then I'm gonna have it a little shorter than starting at 200. I think I'll start it at like 225. And then I'll make it 50 wide and 75 tall. All right, I think that looks pretty good. And then not the last thing I'm going to add in, but the next thing I'm going to add in is a menu board. So this is another good way for you guys to practice your font skills and your text size skills. So I'm going to do a chalkboard basically as my menu board. And so I'm going to do a rectangle, and I'm going to put it right about there. So like 175 to 25-ish. And I'm going to make it 25. Oh, maybe I'll make it 50. Maybe I'll make it 40. 40 wide and like 60 tall, something like that. I think that's going to be a little bit too small, actually. Oh, 80 is way too big. I don't know what I was thinking. Let's try 70. I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so that's going to be my menu board, and this is where it gets a little tricky, like I said. So I'm going to put in another fill command, and everything that I wrote above about the text, so the text font, the text size, the text align, that's all going to apply to my next text that I put in, unless I tell it otherwise. So I'm happy with the text alignment, I'm happy with the text font. I am going to change the text size though. So I'm going to make this text size, I'm going to start with 10 and see how it looks. And then I put in a fill command for white for this. And I'm going to do text, parentheses, quotation marks, and I'm going to write menu. Okay, and since I have it on text align center right now, I want to have it centered at about 210, 240-ish. So I'm going to see how that looks, and I'm going to see, it's pretty hard to read, so some things that I could do, I could put a space between each one of the letters for this, so then it's a little bit easier to read. I could also just change the text font to something that's a little bit more readable. This font that I chose isn't the easiest to read when it's smaller like this. So you can see the font that I changed it to, Verdana, it's way easier to read. And I do like the spaces in between it. I think that it makes it just easier to read. But I think I will make it a little bit bigger, like 14, yeah. So now it's super readable. You can definitely see what's on the menu. Let me know if there's any menu items that you guys want me to put in there, and I'll add some stuff in there. I'm just gonna add like a burger and fries for right now, just basic menu items. So again, I'm going to go down and I'm gonna change this text size back to the smaller text. Oops. So I did text size 10, and I'm gonna just put inside of parentheses, I'm gonna put burger, and then I'll put like a few spaces and do $5. Let's make it a cheap restaurant. And then it's on text mode center, so you're gonna wanna tell it where the center is. So I'm gonna say 200, 255, and see if that's right. Pretty good. but I think it needs to move to the right a little bit. So I just have to make this a bigger number for my X value. All right, so now I have a burger on the menu, and I can go down and just keep adding items. I'm gonna just add one more item for now, and then if you guys have any special requests, I will put those in there. I'll just put in fries, and let's do $2 fries, because that sounds great. And, oh, fries. Okay, so right now I have in my quotation marks fries, and then I put a few spaces and then wrote $2 after. And remember, right now we have it in text align center. So I want to tell it the X and Y location of the center of my word. So right now it's, I think 208 is going to be good again for the X. And then I'll just move it down about 10 or so. So we'll try 208, 265. And that looks pretty good to me. I think I could put a few more spaces in the middle. And that's a way that I can like space out the text a little differently. Okay, so I think that that looks pretty good. And then Naomi requested that I put in soup, so I'm gonna do soup. And I'll make that one, let's make it a $3 soup. And again, I'm gonna keep the center value the same, and then I'm going to just change it to be 10 units lower than the last one that I did. And you can see I'm just putting the spaces in the middle to space it out evenly. Okay, and maybe I'll move them a little lower from each other, so I'll just add like 2. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so now I have my door. I don't have a doorknob yet. That's gonna be the next thing I add actually. But I have a little menu. Special things to keep in mind are make sure that you changed your fill before you put your text in, because if you don't do that, it'll just be the text or the fill of whatever your board color was. So you can see if I didn't put that 255 in there, it would have been black, it would have all blended in, and then it would have been really confusing. All right. And make sure you change the text size. If I kept the text size the same as the big sign up here, it would have been really, really hard to read, and it wouldn't have fit. And then make sure that your font is something that's really readable. So I had to change mine from Impact to Verdana because it was just more readable that way. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a doorknob. So for a doorknob, I'm gonna do an ellipse. I'm gonna put it right about here. And remember that I'm using my mouse as a guide. Those little numbers in the right-hand corner are super helpful. So I'm gonna put it at 315, 265. And I'm just gonna make it 10 by 10 to start with and see, I actually think that looks good. So now I have a door with a doorknob. And I think I'm gonna leave my project right here for the day. And here is my challenge for you. So I want you to add in some elements to your project that makes it special, but I want you to make sure that you use stroke, whether it's to fill in something, you would use no stroke, or you use stroke weight at least once in your project. I want you to use text at least one place in your project. And if you are feeling up to it, if you're feeling like you really understand it, try to add in some animation to your project. So try to add in a car driving past the front of your restaurant, or you can make a person walking up to the front door, or you can make a bird flying across the sky. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share this project with you. I'm going to share the URL for my basic version, which is this one right here. And then when I'm finished with it, I'll share the advanced version with you that I'll put something moving on it, whether it's, maybe I'll just have like a person walk up to the door. And any questions that you guys have, you can always submit your project to the type form, which is in the description. That's just the special form that we made so that you could submit your projects. And there's two options on there. You can choose just sharing, or you can choose that you need help with it. If you need help, that's awesome. We'd love to help you. And I check that every single day, a few times a day, so I'll definitely know if you guys are needing help. And I'm just going to go over one more time how to share your project. So what you're going to want to do is hit the exit button at the top left. You'll click on the three dots next to your project and find the share button. When you click generate link, it's going to make this special link that you can copy using the copy button, or you can just highlight it and copy it that way. And that is the URL that you want to share with us. So we can't access your project unless you give us this exact URL. There's a whole video about how to share your projects on the Code Naturally YouTube channel as well. And if you need help, maybe you're confused about how to get your car to move across the screen in your animation or anything like that, if you just want to review shapes, go to our Code Naturally YouTube channel. We have a ton of videos on there for you guys to use that are how-to videos or that are just help for simple little problems like that. And let's see, I feel like I had one more thing. Yeah, let us know if you have any special requests for class next week, and I will absolutely share your projects if you guys create projects that you want to share with us. So your challenge, you can either keep going with it right now, or you can choose to do it at a later date, is to add some kind of fun animation onto your project, add more details. Everyone's done a really good job of adding in some text and some thinner or thicker lines to their projects, but let's keep that up. Try to change your text in at least one or two ways, whether it's the alignment, the size, the color, anything like that. And then try to use the stroke command, whether you're using no stroke to get rid of the outlines, whether you're using stroke weight to make it thicker, whatever it is that you're doing, try to add in those few elements to make it a really cool project and share it with us. That would be great. So that's all we have for today. If you guys want to do longer classes again, let us know. If you want to do a special project, let us know. Like I said, I will share my project with you guys. I'll put it in the comments of this video after the video is over, and I'll put in the more advanced version that I make as well. All right, so if you have any last minute questions, you can go ahead and ask them now. Otherwise, you can find us on codenaturally.com, or you can submit it through the link that's in the description, which is how to share your videos. All right, so again, thank you guys for coming to class today. Don't forget to like this video, please, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you guys next week.